And we're live. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to episode 4 of the Sports Zone with the opening pair. I'm once again joined by my ever reliable co-host, Keith. Keith, how are you?
Not too bad. I think it's the first time in my life I've been called reliable in a while, but thank you very much for all the same.
There's a first for everything.
Definitely. We had a first this weekend also, didn't we?
Definitely, yeah. So we've quite a bit to get through tonight, I think. Keith, what's on the agenda for us?
So I think a couple of bits to note. Obviously, the thumbnail said so. This is going to be our review of UFC 249 exclusively. I think what we should do is we should talk about the small bit of controversy that came out maybe the morning of the fight, and just kind of discuss kind of maybe like what impact that might have on the future, on the future fights and maybe sport in general. And then let's get into the card itself and just any of the fights that really kind of hit home with us. Let's get into details. So so we woke up Saturday morning. We were all set to go, and it comes out that one of the fighters has tested positive for corona.
Jacare Souza and his two cornermen. So not exactly the start that Dana White, the UFC, or really any of us were looking for. Dana himself claims, well, it's a sign that what we're doing is working. So I suppose he has a point there. It was always a likely scenario with people traveling from all over America, basically, that someone somewhere surely had to be in contact. So
It's interesting, that he says like, oh well, the system we put in place has worked. It's. Again, this kind of comes back to the conversations that we've been having over the last couple of episodes here, is that, he is mad, but he's not mad in another way. And if it's better that they found out that side of the fight going ahead than the other side. So I think, listen, fair play to them. They're trying their best to get live sport out, and if these are the measures that have to be taken in place, I suppose the only fear is obviously there's still 2 more fight nights to go on in the same arena around the same staff that would still be hanging on. So it'll be interesting to see if anything else comes out.
Well, I suppose it's a learning curve that this has obviously been the first event. Obviously things are still a work in progress, I guess. So hopefully the system will be streamlined and everything kind of be tightened up from this outbreak. As you say, it's probably a good thing that it was caught now rather than too late.
Yeah, definitely.
But again, I suppose the argument could then be made, why weren't they tested earlier? Bring everyone in a week earlier and, work from there. But I suppose it's just such an unprecedented thing.
Yeah, as Dana said, listen, we will be better Wednesday and we'll be better again on Saturday. So, I mean, we have live sport back in some manner, and what a card it was. I think let's get into the prelims. Which of the 4 fights kind of stuck out to you, and let's break them down?
I suppose prelims wise, well, obviously it was the Fight Pass portion as well. You didn't actually see the Fight Pass.
No, I didn't. I didn't have Fight Pass. There was 2 fights on that.
Yeah, the Bryce Mitchell fight. Oh my God, amazing performance. He, on 145 pounds, he's like a mini Khabib. Like, this guy is just I think it was 3. I scored it anyway. 3 10-8 rounds, just some pure grappling, absolute domination, amazing, just outstanding. This guy, he's been looking for camo shorts from Reebok for the last year and a half, and his performance was so outstanding that Dana White shouted into the cage at the end of the fight, "You've got your camo shorts. We've been on to Reebok. You have them." So that one for me anyway.
He was very impressive anyway.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I suppose then moving into the actual prelims end of the portion, you would have seen
was my friend Luke.
Your friend Luke, yeah. Do you want to talk about your friend Luke, seeing as he's your
he was I thought he was a bit lucky, I'll be honest with you. I thought Price was winning. I felt they'd each split the first 2 rounds, and I thought Price was maybe just on top of him in the third. But obviously he caught him with a nice kind of flurry there near the end. His eye blew up, and that was all she wrote, really. So I think he may have dodged a bullet, but at least he's come out of it on the right side with a W to his name. That's kind of how I.
Yeah. It's basically Luke you can be guaranteed that's how he's going to fight. He knows no other way other than forward. He doesn't know defense, or you're not going to get like the kind of slipping and sliding that you'd see, I suppose, for me, any of the championship fighters, the top 5.
Yeah, because he's ranked outside the top 10, isn't he?
Yeah, he's 15. I'm pretty sure.
And would this make any inroads in terms of his ranking? Do you reckon? Like, could he breach the top 10 on the basis of this, or would he be sitting kind of like 13, 12?
UFC rankings just it's a Pandora's box.
Is it?
It's a Pandora's box of just eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Yeah, give him that number. Like, so.
All right. Okay.
It probably, with inactivity elsewhere in the division, it probably will move up a few. Will I get him into the top 10? Probably not. Probably not, to be honest.
Okay, fair enough. He got out with a W, and a couple more people got out with the W's. So the next fight was the women's lightweight division fight.
Strawweight, 115.
Strawweight, sorry.
Yeah, Carla Esparza, Michelle Watson. Excellent fight. Clash of styles.
Good technical fight, I felt.
Yeah.
Interesting scoring, though, in the end.
Well, again, that's just like the rankings, it's depending on the state you're in. Florida are renowned for bizarre scoring, I suppose. Like, one judge had a 30-27, sorry, 30-27 to Esparza. Another judge had a 30-27 to Michelle Watson. Like, are they watching?
Yeah, it was very, very strange.
Yeah. Esparza, in the end, got the decision. For me, I thought Watson overall was the more
accomplished fighter on the night.
Yeah, I thought she controlled where the fight took part. Her taking defense was excellent. She had some lovely combinations, moving backwards, and cut some lovely angles off the shots from Esparza. Made her look a little bit silly at times, I felt. As the fight went on, I thought, Esparza kind of noticed she was getting a bit lit up on the feet, and kind of really just pushed forward. Just said, right, I have to go for this. But for me, I felt Esparza. But
you could hear what I found telling during the night was obviously you could hear the corners actually giving the advice. And I know some of the fighters actually made comment to the fact that they could hear the commentators, talking about like where they're coming up short. But I think that's an interesting way as well, because there's no question that, like, if you can actively hear that information on the fly, you can't but not kind of readjust your situation and your plan. I was rooting for Watson in that fight. I thought she may have done enough, but unfortunately she didn't. Then we had the heavyweight fight between the two old men. But two boys came out like they may be 42 years old each, but they came out like a pair of 20-year-olds baiting one another in the first round.
Well, to be fair, like, Verdun was a former world champion. He's always been in and around the top 5. But he's been away for, I think it's almost 2 years.
Right. Okay.
And it showed early. It showed in the first 2 rounds. Oleinik, in fairness to him, like, since the last time I seen him on the McGregor Cerrone card, his body shape has changed. He obviously put in serious work for it. He's seen this as a huge chance for him with the heavyweight division not being the deepest either. He impressed me. I have to say, and deserved the decision overall.
Definitely. And then we come into kind of the main event of the prelims, which was our good friend Cowboy Cerrone and Anthony Pettis, which is a rematch from, I want to say, 7 years ago. Or something like that.
2013, I think.
This was a really, really entertaining fight, and it was a really good fight to kind of round off the prelims. Again, so Pettis gets the decision unanimously. And there's a lot of blowback in terms of the scoring, because we were watching it live, and I was on Twitter, and as we all do during these sporting events, there was a lot of people saying, Cowboy had at least one round in the bag. A couple of major kind of UFC heads had come out and said that they felt that Cowboy had won the fight. I'd like to get your thoughts on the fight overall and the decision.
To be fair, if Watson is as controversial for me as the Watson fight, I did have Cowboy myself, I will admit. There was a very controversial moment with about 2 minutes to go in the last round with an eye poke that the referee called a punch. But actually, on replay, it was an eye poke, which was a huge turning point.
It wasn't like a closed fist incident.
No, it was a very clear finger.
Yeah, because and then the funny thing was Pettis was saying then, oh, it was a punch, and no, it wasn't, it really wasn't. But
so in the heat of the moment, I suppose, you're throwing shots, you're in there, you're trying to fight for your life, your career. It's hard to know.
And again, I think you make a great point, like fighting for your career. I think these two boys, I suppose it would be fair to say that they're fighting for their career to be on major cards again. Like they could probably headline these fight nights fairly easily. But
well, any sort of championship aspirations for either of them, absolutely had to win.
Yeah, because Cowboy's now 0-4 in his last 4 fights.
Yeah, first time ever. Like he's never actually before he fought McGregor, he never lost 3 fights in a row. So
okay,
but now it's been a 4-fight skid is. It's worrying when you look at it black and white as a record, but like the actual performance of Cowboy, for me anyway, he regained a lot of his name. I suppose not his name. I don't know his.
He performed on the night for a change. Would that be fair to say?
I think he restored his reputation. That's probably he looked like wasn't out of his depth in the UFC and at that level. To be fair, I think it was a very good piece of matchmaking. 2 guys at a crossroads, and with still a bit to fight for, but not probably at the very, very top end.
Yeah, but so do you think the decision was deserved in the end?
As I said, I had Cowboy. I thought he did enough. You could make a case for Pettis, maybe to scrape it, but no, I thought it was probably unfair on Cowboy. But as I said, not as I've seen worse. But
and just I suppose obviously with that being like the main event on the prelim, like where for these two guys' career, what's the next move? Like obviously Cowboy's on the down. He's 36, I want to say.
37. Yeah, he's there. That mark. Yeah.
Like is he going to be like? I suppose I don't know like the technical term, but is he going to turn into like a step up fighter in the sense of when the new hot shot comes on, he fights Cowboy to get him on the way? Like is that what he's going to turn into?
He's kind of been that for the last number of years, and then he goes and he's kind of runs, in the lower light fights, say with not as much attention on.
Yeah,
he gets to a certain point then, and it's like, right, okay, that's your level, and he slides back down. Cowboy is the type of guy that he fight anyone, anywhere, anytime. That's he's always said that.
He says that. He just said that.
Yeah, it's his hobby, Yeah, I suppose so. He could say that. Yeah, he doesn't really care who he fights. If he's fought the who's who of the UFC, his resume is ridiculous.
Yeah, that's true.
As for Pettis, I don't know. He's another one that's not quite a gatekeeper, but he was well beaten at 55 in January, and he scraped the decision at 70. But the top 5 to 8 at 170, I don't see it.
He's not going to get a look in there.
No, so I genuinely don't really know where next is for Pettis.
Okay.
Maybe just money fights. Just kind of.
It's interesting to see. But then I suppose he'll always have that strap. He'll always can say he was a champion. Yeah. So there's a lot to be said with that.
He's very like Cowboy. The two boys they both have great names, and but what you're going to get with them. So there'll always be value in them. For the UFC.
Yeah. Well, I suppose that ended the prelims. Then we got into the main event, and the first fight was Greg Hardy against Decastro. There's not really much to kind of speak on this. I don't think. I thought Decastro fought well in the first round, and then he did something with his toe.
Yeah.
In the second, having a swing at Hardy, and then that kind of ended him, and Hardy just kind of managed the fight out and got the result. That's kind of how I've seen that.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I'd agree with that. To be fair, as I said to you, we were talking about this during the week, and that Hardy's a very controversial background with domestic abuse and whatever else. And although we don't like him, he's not well liked with all of that stuff.
Yeah.
To be fair, you've got to give him his dues. He's put in the hard work, and he has shown improvement over time. I think honestly, the most interesting thing for me, apart from the decision, was I seen on MMA Fighting there just a few hours ago. they're talking about the pay, and Hardy came out with $180,000. Decastro came out with $12,000. I think it's crazy stuff.
Night and day. And
yeah,
but then listen, he earned his money.
It's the name, and the controversy brings eyes. So yeah.
Well, to be fair, with the event itself, it probably didn't need any more reason to have eyes on it because there was so much on it as it was. But definitely. So then we moved into the catchweight fight between Calvin Kattar and Jeremy Stephens. And Stephens was the only fighter to come in on the scales not on weight. Yeah. It was over by a good bit as well.
4.5 pounds over, it's very unusual. It's very unusual for Jeremy Stephens. Like, he's the ultimate professional. He always makes weight. I suppose the circumstances of everything going on probably played a role, but fair play to Kattar as well for taking the fight. But he had to take it really with everything that's going on, and it's a big spotlight for him.
It was interesting because I thought Stephens came out of the gate pretty hard, and I thought he had a good first round. Kattar was still kind of finding his feet. Now the decision obviously ends up in a stoppage for Kattar, but when he got that opening, he definitely smashed open the door on Stephens. I don't know how did you see the fight going beforehand, and then as you were watching it in the play-by-play?
Yeah, I said, I think we talked about it here. I had Kattar winning the fight. I predicted that he would. I just think his boxing is super aggressive. Like, he really is, right up there with the best, pound for boxers in the whole organization. It was actually a beautiful elbow that finished it, which was. That's
right. Yeah, it was a strong impressive. Elbow as well.
Beautiful. It was perfectly timed, lovely, just right on the spot. I thought Stephens, when I heard he missed weight, I thought he'd come out hard early. Obviously he didn't have a very good weight cut. Probably didn't think he had much in the tanks to try and go hard. As well as
try and finish it early, sort of.
Yeah, because Kattar would be known as a slow starter anyway. That's his.
Fair enough.
That's kind of his Achilles heel. Killed him in his last fight against Magomed Sharipov in Russia. He started to come on strong. It was only a 3-round fight, but it should have been 5.
And actually, I believe they alluded to that on commentary. They were saying, that his trainer was saying that, if the fight went on, he would have won. So he's coming out earlier.
Yeah, he tried to happen
again, which is a great sign of a fighter taking a learning almost.
That's it. Like, that's the most important thing. But very impressive. Like, there's big fights there in Africa that really confirms that as Stephens is a tough nut to crack, tough man to get by, and it's a great thing to have in your CV now pushing forward.
Definitely. So that'll probably put him. I know we were talking about the rankings earlier, a bit strange, but that will set him up.
Should do, definitely should do, yeah.
I want to say he was around the kind of the 10 mark.
I'm not sure off the top of my head, to be honest. I don't really take the rankings too seriously.
As the fights come out, then you kind of
sort of. When you get to maybe the top 5, then you can kind of there's no real bluff in your way to the top 5, 9, the majority of the time. But anything outside that, it's just basically for TV, because in America, it's to get the casual fans in. They need a number associated with the fighter.
Yeah, true. So then we move into the shortest fight of the night, the heavyweight clash between Ngannou and Rozenstruik.
Yeah.
And the official time on the clock is 20 seconds, but I think I counted 15 before Rozenstruik was gone. This didn't last long, and Ngannou made a big statement, I thought. And, for a big guy with a big punch to be so softly spoken afterwards was just... Here.
He's a gentle giant,
He's in limbo now, obviously, because that heavyweight division it's quite... Do you want to touch on what's going on in the division?
Yeah, well, it's tricky. Like, Stipe Miocic, the champion, is actually a firefighter outside of fight camps. He's a first responder, and obviously with COVID and everything,
that's where his
priorities are. That's very noble of him. I was debating this, actually, listen to Helwani and DC to have a show, and they were actually speaking of this today, and he was saying basically, right, you have to kind of decide whether you're a fighter or a first responder, which is, I suppose, a fair enough thing as well. You know, when you are heavyweight champion of the UFC, you can't just be like, oh well, you know, I'm taking my time. You kind of you have a huge responsibility there.
That's true.
You were saying that Ngannou is in limbo because obviously DC and Miocic are one each in they faced each other twice. DC won the first, Miocic won the rematch, so it's the
there's a rubber match planned, is there?
Yeah, and I suppose the problem for Ngannou is twofold, really. That one, he's fought Miocic already and was absolutely dominated from round 1 to 5. Very, very, very badly exposed with wrestling.
Okay.
So that kind of puts an asterisk there. And DC is obviously a very strong wrestler, Olympic wrestler as well. So that's another asterisk beside it. You know, the thing is as well is that as impressive as Ngannou's run has been, he's finishing guys so quickly that we don't know if he's actually improved the skills that he needs.
That's an interesting point because you're only as good as your last fight. If your last fight is only 20 seconds, you don't learn anything.
That's it,
So it's interesting to see how this is going to fall out. But then, so I think the division's kind of on hold until they make a decision, and then we come into the two main events.
I want to get your thought on this, the co-main. I'm going to jump off of you because with these two fights, I let my heart rule my head.
Yeah, you did.
And I want to get your side of it, and then I'll come in and see where we go.
So we're obviously talking about the co-main event. So
Cejudo versus
title fight.
Yeah,
Cejudo and Cruz. You were obviously very high on Cruz going into this. Big Cruz fan. I watched a little bit of game tape on both of the guys just to kind of familiarize myself. I haven't been as invested in the UFC space obviously as you've been over the last number of years. I thought the more that I saw of Cejudo beforehand, I know I didn't allude to this on the show the other night, but I thought he would be a tough nut to crack. And ultimately, that's ultimately what kind of happened. I thought that first round, the two guys, they were feeling each other out. I thought Cruz's footwork was very good. But there was obviously kind of like no one was making any big moves in the first round. There's a few hits here and there. Few tidy leg kicks and stuff like that, but overall it was fairly even. And then in the second round, Cruz was very much on top, and there's that stoppage for the clash of heads, and that changed the fight completely. Because I think at that moment, Cruz was going to maybe unleash a little bit more to see what he had in the tank, and that would have been interesting to see if Henry would have been fit to take that on. And then obviously clash of heads happen, they break. That kind of stops Cruz's momentum almost, I would say. And it kind of just puts everything on ice again. And then when they come back together, Henry I won't say gets lucky with a hit, but he managed to kind of open Cruz up. And then obviously it comes to this stoppage, which has been an interesting kind of talking point among UFC fans. Did the referee stop the fight earlier? Obviously, as Rogan alluded to in the post-fight interview with Cruz, at one stage there was 11 or 12 unanswered shots on him. Now you said pre-show, that they weren't. I forget the technical term, but you were essentially saying that they weren't clean strikes to the body. Almost, they were just glove on glove action.
Yeah, the criteria is that you're defending yourself intelligently, and that you're showing that you still want to be in the fight. And it's one thing if you're shelling up and you're kind of cowering away and you don't want to be there. You're showing the referee,
I don't want to be here.
I don't want to be here. That's kind of right. Okay, time to jump in. But with for me anyway, with the Cejudo thing, as I said, the more that I've kind of thought about it and looked at it, I'm not as outraged with the stoppage as I was. But I've seen worse. But that shouldn't really be a criteria of saying, this is a good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
To me, if he jumped in a couple of seconds earlier when Dominic was down, you could say, okay, look, he didn't turn it. But he sits back, which is the right thing to do. To be fair to him, sits back and just says, let's just develop, see where this goes. And as Cruz is coming to his feet,
Yes.
And it's showing that
He's
he wants to be
called
in
it.
the fight. He's jumping in. It's like, right, that's your mistake. If
Yeah.
he's not showing that he wants to be there.
But I think if the only way that I can come up with it in my own head is that the ref has obviously seen 7 or 8 strikes without any sort of defense, and he's made that call, and then just in those split seconds as he's going in to call it, Dominic's coming up. It's unfortunate. It robbed us of another 2 rounds, I think, of really good fighting because the two of them were only really getting into it. But then obviously we have Henry retiring in his post-fight interview.
Yeah. MMA retirements are just 10 a penny, basically. Like, it's a power play because it's a contract negotiation. He's been looking for more money for quite a while. Dana, obviously, Dana is going to dig his heels in as well. Unless you're a huge name like a Ronda Rousey or McGregor, and you're absolutely breaking all sorts of records, they're obviously going to try and negotiate as hard as they can. I read somewhere that he was looking for $2 million for a fight, and he basically was given for this fight with Dominic Cruz $350,000.
Okay.
That's when he decided, right, okay, I'm going to walk away.
So even if he does walk away, though, like he leaves like a pretty solid legacy. He's a double champ. He's triple gold. You can't take anything away from the guy. Now, obviously, he has proclaimed himself the best sports fighter in the world. I forget the exact quote. Apologies, everybody.
Something like that. Yeah, it's kind of hard to listen to the man sometimes. He's just kind of
I found it very off-putting listening to him.
The greatest sports fighter of all time, or some nonsense anyway.
But it's interesting now what Cruz does next. Obviously, the fallout of all this. But listen, it was an entertaining fight for what did last of it, and just a shame that it was stopped a little bit too soon.
For me, he showed he still has a lot of miles in flight, but didn't look out of his depth.
For 3 years out, like you just don't know sometimes what you're going to get.
Like that, unfortunately for him, again, that 135-pound division is absolutely a shark tank. There's huge talent coming up there. Like, so, he will have a long road back to the actual title, but there is some very good fights out there for him, and he's a problem for anyone. He's a problem for anyone.
And he showed that in glimpses of the fight that he still has it. But anyway, let's get on to this main event. Head v heart. You went with your heart. I went with my head.
I went with my heart. Well, my head a lot more. It was a lot more 50-50 head and heart with this one, but
it wasn't 50-50 in the ring, though. Unfortunately, Justin Gaethje takes out Tony Ferguson in the 5th round. Ref stops a TKO as the official decision. Ferguson took on a lot of damage in this fight over the course of 24 minutes or so. I never saw the kind of like where he was going to win. The longer it kind of went on, there was obviously that little kind of flurry at the end of the 2nd round. He caught Gaethje lovely an uppercut. At the end, it was a shame that maybe there wasn't another 30 seconds left in that round to see if he could have opened up a bit more on Justin. But I thought Justin managed the fight extremely well. I thought he managed his shape, and like. He, as they said on comms, he made Ferguson look like what Ferguson makes other people look like after fights. That's kind of all I have to say on it, really.
I have so much here, like this. He was very, very impressive. Like I have to, put my hand up and say, look, he really, really did. I don't want to say surprised me, but like it just shows. The unpredictability of MMA, I suppose. There's just so many weapons. There's just so many weapons that can win a fight, and so many different techniques and styles. But I just thought his calmness and his ability to think clearly in the storm of basically piecing up the boogeyman of 155. Like just make him look like an absolute nothing. It's just not just you or me.
Just there. Another day at the office.
Just another day. But look, I think we were messaging back and forth during the night, and I sent a message to you saying I just, there was something about Tony. He just looked gaunt in the face. I don't know.
Yeah, couldn't wait twice in 3 weeks or whatever the case may be.
It has to have paid a factor. I think honestly, for me, we seen Tony age in the cage. We seen him grow old as the fight wore on, and just all the crazy training sessions, all this unorthodox, mad sessions, jumping around the place, taking on, fighting anybody, next man up, next man, I'll fight anybody, anytime. I don't care.
Just all caught up in him, do you think?
Just all caught up in him. And he made connotations at the end that he was training for a different style fight matchup, but at the end of the day, he took the risk. He had everything to lose, and unfortunately, I just feel really sorry for him. The man's 12 fights, 12 wins in a row. It's just unbelievable.
Yeah. His last defeat, I want to say, they were saying his last defeat was like in 2014 or 2013 or something like that.
Ridiculous. Yeah, something absolutely ridiculous against Michael Johnson. And it was a split decision.
It's sad. It was sad to see it because it wasn't like the barn burner that we thought it would be. While it was a really good fight, it did feel towards kind of rounds 3, 4, and 5 that it was kind of it was kind of one-sided. There was only going to be one winner, and I thought the telling factor for me almost was there was a moment during one of the round breaks where Gaethje's coach
Trevor
said
Whitman,
to him, he said to him, "Says tone that down by 10% and stop looking to kill him."
He was winging. Someone actually, it was Czech Congo, I think, who was Josiah Rosenstreich's cornerman, made a very good point that actually the lack of a crowd played into Justin Gaethje's hands, because that's been dropped in round 2. The adrenaline would have been pumping, and old Gaethje with the crowd going absolutely up the wall would have come out and just blown the whole thing in a minute and a half and going searching for the knockout to get back on level terms.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for 10,000 people baying for blood as well.
Yeah, but I suppose to me it really, really shows the difference in a great cornerman, because some of the things that Tony's corner were saying to him just made, like, at one point they said something about give me some sand, and he ducked down to the ground, picked up a sand and pretended to throw sand in. I'm like, okay, how is this?
That's maybe just kind of that relationship that they have and stuff.
I don't know, but just listen to that corner and Trevor Whitman, as you said, like, take 10% off. Remember the last time you were dominating the fight, you lost, and he was like, Gaethje was like, no, twice. So he was.
He knew. Yeah,
he was dialed in. They were dialed in. Yeah.
So we're not going to get Khabib Tony next. We're more than likely going to get Khabib Gaethje.
We might never get Tony Khabib now. And no. even if we do,
what Tony do you get?
That kind of a fight takes years off you and takes that edge off.
It was a shame to kind of see a little bit shame to see it like that, because we obviously, the last time I seen Tony was when he hammered Cerrone. We saw him against Pettis, and just that kind of bogeyman destroyer just wasn't there Saturday night, unfortunately. But listen, you say whatever we want about this fight. The man is a great fighter.
Absolutely, yeah.
And some of the things that he's done in this sport, I don't think anyone can take away from.
No.
I think, as I said, I thought Gaethje managed the fight extremely well. And I am curious to see how he gets on against Khabib, because Khabib is not going to let him stay on his feet for 5 rounds like Tony did. He is going to go to the mat, and they are going to let's wrestle, as Khabib would say. But so we have 2 more events. We have an event tomorrow night, I believe, isn't it?
Yeah, Anthony Smith headlines against Glover Teixeira. It's an interesting fight. Anthony Smith, like, he's only fought John Jones not that long ago, but a year and a half ago. But he also won for the title. Like, so he's there. He's on the cusp again. Big win against a legend like Glover gets him right back in there. So yeah, it's an interesting fight. Like, it's not obviously 249, but and in the co-main then Ben Rothwell welcomes OSP to the heavyweight division, which is also it's an interesting fight considering last minute and whatever.
It's good to see. Yeah, it's good to see a little bit more. And listen, we'll see if there's any more kind of like corona issues in the next couple of days. Let's hope not.
Hopefully not.
For the fighter's sake. But I think that pretty much wraps up our review of 249, unless there's anything else that kind of came to your mind.
No, I think that's pretty much it. Like, there's just a lot to unpack there. as you say, it'll just be interesting to see. Hopefully, please God, that with the incident with Jackery, that they have this thing nailed down, because we all, in the day, we all want sports back. The whole world, like as I was saying to you, Donald Trump appeared at the start of the event.
Very strange.
Huge this is. The whole world's eyes are on this, and we're just hoping that they can actually lead the way and that everything else can follow suit. It just means we all get back to normality.
Some degree of normality.
Well,
but,
yeah.
Listen, I think we're going to head off, guys. That was our review of UFC 249 at the weekend, and we wanted to bring you this especially because it was such a big event. It didn't deserve to be part of our overall sports show. It deserved its own kind of show. So, but we will be back on Friday. We're going to do another sports show. We're going to have a look at other stuff that's happening. New Zealand Rugby are coming out with their own kind of like home tournament. Australia are talking about the same. Premier League is still up in the air. There's a lot of conversation going on. The Bundesliga is back. So there's definitely the stuff for us to talk about, guys. We're going to be back on more than likely 8 o'clock again on Friday. Just to kind of finish up here, I am at Kilduff Media on Twitter and Instagram. Kyle is at Kyle Gavin 23. We didn't get to Moneyball on Sunday, but we will do this Sunday. Listen, getting to bed at 7 o'clock in the morning, I think
sport was back, thank God. So.
Guys, listen, have a great couple of days. We will see you Friday. I'm Keith, he's Kyle. Good night, everybody, and take care. Be good.